Hello, this is Becky Raisler. I have Becky's Junk Journals on Instagram and on YouTube. And today I'm going to show you some sewing tips for when you're sewing in your signatures. This is for things that I wish that I had known when I first started sewing in signatures, because I've learned these things make it easier for me. Now, this is just the way I do it. It's not necessarily the only way to do it. So what you have to do is try it probably 4 or 5 times before you find the way that works best for you. But here are my tips. First, complete your inside cover and make the holes for the closure and the tassel. Here is a cover that I just got through making. This is the last of the little golden books that I'll be working on for a while. And I've got the cover completed. If I was going to put anything on here, I would go ahead and do that. And also, I have made arrangements for what my closure is going to be. I've punched holes here, and I'm going to run ribbons through that around. So I've got that planned, and I've got the holes punched and the grommet set for it. Also, I have decided I'm going to put a tassel on this one. So I have a hole and a grommet set there at the top center, so I can clip in a tassel. I want to do all that before I start sewing in my signatures. Next, you want to make your pattern, your template, and this is the one that I have used for all the little golden books that I've been doing, and it's getting pretty well worn, as you can probably see there. The holes are getting big, and but I just keep using it. I made it on cardstock, a scrap of cardstock. And please, if you can see, note that I have the size, the length of the book is 8 inches from here to here. And I've got it marked that it's the top there, and that's important. I've also marked where my grommet is set in the middle, right in there. And then to make this, what I did was I folded a piece of cardstock in half that was cut the width of the spine, and this one happens to be 2 inches. And I folded it in half, and then I went out a 1/2 inch from the center, and that's where I put my signature, and a 1/2 inch from the center on that side. And this is how I do it for a 2 signature. If I was going to go 3 signatures, I'd move it out even further, because the center would be the first set that would be also be a signature. But this case, the little golden books are only 2 signatures with a 2-inch spine. So I've got it labeled. It's 8 tall and 2 inches wide. And these marks right up here, this line you have right here, that is the top edge of the signatures, because I make my little golden books, or I make all of my journals with about 1/4 inch at the top, and then you'll see 1/4 inch space left at the bottom. That's why if things poke out or aren't going there even, they won't drag, you know, when they go in and out of a bookcase. So that's what it looks like for your template. My pages are 7.5 inches tall, and I've got that marked right here, the 7.5 inches tall for the pages between this mark and that mark. And that's important, because when I go to do my to poke my holes in my book cover, I'm going to want to know where the top of my signature fits here and here. Then also I can line it up here and here for the width of or the length of the actual book. So that's how I make a 2 signature template or pattern. The next tip is when you get ready to poke your spine holes in, do it from the outside. I was taught, and I've seen a lot of YouTube videos where they do it from the inside, and that's how I did it for the start. But if you do it from the inside, you're going to end up with this part of the hole poking out. It raises a bump on the opposite side where you put the awl in. So I recommended getting some of these tiny clips and clipping your template to the outside. And on that, that's how I do it, just like that. Clipping it to the outside and then poking your holes in that way. So, because it pushes out this bump stuff to the inside, and it's not as unsightly. Your holes will be barely noticeable if you do it this method. But this has really helped me by clipping the template down when I'm poking the holes into the spine. And if you can see, you barely can see the holes in this. There's 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. Okay, so you've got it all set up. Now, once you've got your template done, you'll notice in this template, I have holes poked right down the center too. Although I'm not having a signature that's actually sewn in the center. But what I have done, when I put my signatures in, I'm going to line the pages up in the middle where the second line is at the top, and I'm going to use the center holes for poking in. These have already been poked. And another thing that I noticed when I was doing this, if I hold it where it's bent like that, I'm more likely to get my holes poked in the very center along this line instead of over to the side. When I was trying to do it with it laid out flat, I was ended up with my holes coming out the side like that. And I found for me that if I did it with it sewed in, if I did the sewing in and hole poking with it bent like that, I was more likely to get it right up through the center of the signature as opposed to one side. One thing that we're talking about the actual signatures, I wanted to talk to you about. When you have your signatures ready to go, be sure you label the top and then which signature number it is, whether it's the first, second, or third, fourth, fifth, whatever, however many you have. In this case, I've got 2 signatures ready to go. They're all put together. They're clipped with binder clips. And they're not clipped when they're laying out flat. They're clipped when they're folded up, because this signature has, oh gosh, 15 or 16 pages in it, and they stack up. If you can see, it gets quite full right here, and you want to make sure that the whole signature is poked down into the center of it as best you can when you sew it up. And that way, if you do it with it bent like that, it keeps everything grouped together. And so when I put the clips on, I put the clips on while it's about like that, so it'll sit in there right. And I always use 4 binder clips for each signature, top and bottom. And I leave everything together like this until I've got it completely sewed in. And that way, if I get interrupted in the middle of doing something, or something happens and it, you know, with my thread it breaks or whatever, I can always keep myself in line, because I have sewed signatures in upside down, and excuse me, it is not the it's not fun to have to take them out and sew them back in again, or to recover up the pages that ended up upside down. So label everything and clip it all together like that. And here's another tip that I have learned, that my mother taught me about using thread. Now, you can use all kinds of needles and all kinds of thread to sew your signatures in. You can get the waxed linen thread, which I really like using, but it can get more expensive. A lot of times I buy this baker's twine. That's what this is, and it comes in packages with several different colors in it. And I've been using this baker's twine a lot, with kind of a candy stripe look on it. I like it with my with the Little Golden Book journals. It gives it a more whimsical look to the edges. But when you go to put your thread on, sometimes, especially if it's not waxed, the threads will start to come apart up there, and it makes it really hard to get into that hole. Even if you're using, this is the biggest needle I have, and that's what I'm using. So in order to thread it, also, if you're farsighted like me, can't see up close, this is a tip, that you take a little piece of paper that is cut where it is narrow enough to go through that needle, and all you do is take your thread and pop it in there into that little space, and then close it up, and then tweak it up and try to, this one has been used a dozen times or more, but then once you've got it in there, all you have to do is pull it through, and that's how you get it threaded. If you don't have if you're not into sewing, you know. But this is how we learned to do it when I was a kid. And when I was younger, I did a lot of needlepoint and used a lot of varying thicknesses of yarn and threads in my making wall art and things. So that is a helpful tip. Recently, I don't have, this is all the needles that I have, and these are the needles that came in a bookbinding tool set that I bought on Amazon. This is the largest needle that I have, and it's got a fairly large eye. I recently read that if you buy darning needles for like darning socks, which I don't know that anybody who's ever darned a sock, but they're longer, and I have heard that, and they're blunt, and you don't really need a sharp needle if you're sewing in the signatures, because you're going to poke the holes with your awl. I am going to, next time I get over to Joann's or Hobby Lobby or wherever, I'm going to look for a darning needle that is blunt, because I keep poking myself when I'm sewing in the signatures, and then my fingers start bleeding, and then I get blood all over my signature, and that's not cool. So you may be more coordinated and graceful than I am, but arthritis in my hands is a good excuse. My hands are all pretty much beat up, but it hasn't stopped me much. When you get ready to sew the signatures in, you've got it all threaded and you're ready to go. Oh, I didn't tell you this. When I cut my thread in advance, and I do the thread 3 times the length of the book is how I cut my thread. And you're going to end up with some longer tails that way, which you can put ornaments on, or you can tie into a bow or whatever. But that is the easiest way for me, because I really fumble around a lot when I sew signatures in. But when I get down to the actual sewing the signatures in, I personally have decided that for me the easiest way is start sewing in the signature in the back, the back signature first. So this is the top, and it's number 2, and I'm going to poke a hole in there, and then I'm going to poke a hole in there, and I'm going to pull through until I have a tail. And I'm going to leave me a tail. Then I'm going to go up to the top, and I'm going to guide it through, and you probably can't see this, and I may have to just give up on trying to show you this. Yep, I'm going to have to give up. I can't see to do it. That's what happens when you get older. You can't see very well. But I'll fumble around with this and get it sewed in. But this is a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I'm going to start in through the center. I'm going to leave myself a tail. And then I'm going to go to the top and come back from the end from the outside. And then I'm going to go. This is a simulation. Don't try this at home, folks. Just kidding. Then I'm going to go up that one, and then I'm going to come all the way down here to the bottom, and I'm going to go to the bottom. Then I'll come back up through the center and tie it off with one string on one side and the other string on the other side, and then I'll tie it off. And I'm not going to do that on screen because who knows how long it'll take me. But I hope this has helped you, and if you have any questions, please leave a note in the comments, and I love to hear from you. Come see me on Instagram and on YouTube as Becky's Junk Journals, and I appreciate you watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.